In this video, we are going to take a look at the short story Third and Final Continent by Jambala Lahiri under the aspects of identity and belonging. We are going to focus on the definition of identity and belonging, related questions, how these things apply to Mala and the narrator, and different stages of their development. In this short story, the narrator moves from one country to another. Migration and leaving one's home can be a negative experience, resulting in a loss of identity and belonging. What did the narrator experience when he left his home country? And did he suffer from a loss of identity, or had to struggle with adapting to a new culture? Identity. First of all, the term identity characterizes a person by combining various traits that define this person. Identity is multifaced and can alter depending on career, family, skill, culture, social roles, and how others perceive a person. Thus, you do not have one identity, but multiple, that change in relation to our surroundings and the situation we are in. We are often unaware of the fact that we not only unconsciously change our identity, but do so intentionally if we feel the need to change to get accepted in a certain environment. Our personality and our identity are based on countless circumstances, such as physiological needs, safety, love, esteem, and self-actualization. Typical questions about identity you might ask yourself are: who am I? What do others think of me? What is my purpose in life? And what are my values? Identity of the narrator. The narrator is of Indian origin and leaves India in 1964 to live in London for 5 years, where he shared an apartment with other penniless Bengali bachelors, all struggling to educate and establish themselves abroad. This quote shows that the narrator does not struggle to adapt to a new country or to the loss of his identity. On the contrary, living with fellow countrymen gives him the opportunity to retain his lifestyle, such as the egg curry they like to eat. When moving to America shortly after his marriage in Calcutta, he prepared for his life there by reading the student guidebook to North America during the flight. There are no language problems in English-speaking countries for him, and he never talks about racial discrimination, but gets used to the American way of living quickly. Upon moving to Mrs. Croft, their cohabitation became their routine within days, a sign of safety in finding a home. Mrs. Croft, by accepting him and calling him a gentleman, takes away his feeling of loneliness. His marriage to Mala, however, poses a greater difficulty for him. His identity changes from a lonely working man to a married one, bearing responsibilities and having to care. It was my duty to take care of Mala, to welcome and protect. Unlike Mala, I was used to it all then. The only thing I was not used to was Mala. They eventually fell in love with each other, another point in life that forms a new identity. Mala and the narrator live happily near Boston as American citizens, their son attending Harvard University. Mala. In contrast to the narrator, Mala has to overcome more obstacles and struggles with the change in her life. Her wedding was arranged because her parents feared she would never marry, having been rejected by many men before, and so they were willing to ship their only child halfway across the world in order to save her from spinsterhood. She misses her parents and becomes a part of the household of the narrator's brother, a drastic change in her life that changes her identity as well. She prepares for her arrival in America by writing in English, and her letter overall expresses profound insecurity. I write in English in preparation for the journey. Here I am very much lonely. Is it very cold there? Is there snow? Yours, Mala. She arrives in America wearing a sari, visualizing she's a bride. Despite being a foreigner in that country, she is clinging to the traditions of her homeland. Mala is diligent and tries to adapt to the new culture like her husband. This can be seen when she prepares cereal for him, while still trying to maintain Indian traditions in other situations. When they visit Mrs. Croft, Mala is dressed elegantly. She had put on a silk sari and extra bracelets, and coiled her hair with a flattening side part on the top of her head. Marla is delighted by Mrs. Croft's place, and the old woman calls her a perfect lady, a compliment that gives Marla strength and a new identity, and the narrator and Marla begin to fall in love the same day. She finds happiness in America, having left her old life behind, not missing her parents or draping the end of her sari over her head anymore. Being an American citizen has expanded the number of identities she has formed in her life. Belonging. Belonging is a sense of being welcome and accepted. Some people are being asked where they are from on the daily basis. It carries implicit assumptions about their race, ethnicity, and nationality. Often it translates to, "You don't seem to belong here." It validates existing misbeliefs about societal identities and can be quite patronizing. Following up the question with, "Oh, of course," or "Yes, you do like you're from insert country," can force people into neat categories of race, gender, or nationality without acknowledging the nuances of that person's identity. Most of them don't have a singular identity and belong in many places, cultures, and identities at the same time. The questions, "Where do I come from?" "Where is my home?" or "Where do I feel safe?" place or person, help to find out where one belongs. It is a human need, and if it's not given, it causes isolation, depression, rebellion against family, tradition, friends' expectations, or work commitment. Belonging is linked to one's identity and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. India. India is the native country of the narrator. He was born and brought up there. He felt and still feels safe and welcome, but migrated because of the need of a better future and education than India could offer him. Even the arranged marriage to an Indian woman did not keep him in India. Unlike him, his wife Mala has a deep connection to India. The UK. The next country he lived in was the UK. He belonged there, had a community, a job, and an education. However, the fact that he was isolated amongst Bengali men and had not been in contact with British culture means that he did not fully adapt. That's why a job offer from the US made him leave the country. The US. America was different to the UK and India for him. It had a totally different culture and lifestyle. This time he got used to the country faster and also adopted the traditional lifestyle of America, while retaining some of his Indian traditions as well. Additionally, he met an American friend, Mrs. Croft, who gave him a feeling of belonging. Marla had bigger problems to adapt in the US. It was a challenge for her because she had a deep connection to Indian traditions. She had to deal with loneliness and homesickness. Additionally, the relationship between the narrator and Marla was difficult because they were strangers living in a new country. Luckily, they grew happy together and supported each other. Overall, it can be said that the narrator did not struggle from a lack of identity or belonging in any country, because he was able to adapt to the new lifestyle while retaining his own culture, mostly because of Marla. But in the end, he felt most at home in America. It was the country where he learned to love his wife and found a family. America offered the narrator everything he needed to have the feeling of fully belonging somewhere.